Allora, abbiamo un altro grande ospite per le interviste di Mystery Tour Radio Show, qui su Radio Onda d'Urto, un ospite davvero speciale perché un personaggio che ha lavorato davvero con chiunque, con Peter Gabriel, con Alice Cooper, con Lou Reed. Abbiamo Mr. Steve Hunter in persona. Hello Steve, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Wow, it's great to hear Italian again. That's cool.
Yeah. When was the last time that you hear Italian?
Well, let me see. I think we played Rome with Alice.
Yeah.
And in 2011.
Yeah. Also,
so that was probably the last time I heard Italian. Yeah.
Also Milano in 2011.
Oh, that's right. We played Milan. That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
See, I've forgotten already.
Yeah. It was.
I'm getting old, man. That's all it is.
No problem. Yeah, I was there, and it was like an amazing gig. I can remember perfectly. And
oh, great! Thank you. I'm glad you were there. I didn't know you were there.
Yeah, I was there. I met Alice, and it was an amazing night.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Did I meet you? Because I don't remember whether I met you or not.
Unfortunately not, because I was there because of Dick Wagner, and
right.
we were invited, and we got in touch with Alice in his room, but I didn't see you at all. Probably you were in another room.
That could be, yeah. Yeah, okay. All right, yeah.
I hope next time, if you come playing not only with Alice, I mean, there's this new amazing CD, the Manhattan Blues Project. What can you tell us about this?
Well, it was something that I think I've wanted to do for quite a while. I mean, back when I was doing the Alice Cooper tour, I had already written a couple of. I've got started writing a couple of the songs, and it was in the back of my mind the whole time I was touring with Alice that I should really go home and finish that. And when I got home, I started thinking it became more of a concept of the whole city of Manhattan. I had written a couple of songs, but I really hadn't got it honed into the Manhattan theme yet,
Did you live in Manhattan?
No, the funny thing is I've never lived there.
Okay.
But I've worked there many times. I've recorded there and played a lot of live gigs there and stuff like that. So I wanted to live there, but for some reason or other, I never got things never worked out so I could move there.
Yeah. And now this concept is called the Manhattan Blues Project. So what does blues mean for you?
Well, I started out learning how to play guitar by listening to blues records because to me there was something blues spoke to me. I mean, I know that sounds corny and a lot of people may not understand that, but I think a lot of people do understand. When I heard blues for the first time, I just really loved it, and I wanted to learn how to play it. So I got a big stack of B.B. King records and just listened to him over and over and over again, and sat with my guitar and tried to figure out what he was doing, how he was playing solos and stuff. And I learned a whole bunch of stuff off of listening to B.B. King, and then I also listened, of course, to Jimi Hendrix, and there's a guy named Michael Bloomfield who was an amazing blues guitar player back in the 60s. And Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page. I just started listening to everybody. And I started noticing that blues was everywhere. The only difference is in the rock and roll, in the rock sort of genre, like with Zeppelin or Cream, the only difference was that they played, the guitars were louder.
Yeah.
So there was, but otherwise they were just playing B.B. King and Albert King licks, really. And I suddenly found myself just enthralled with blues and then how blues would work with rock and roll. And so when I wrote this album, when I put this album together, the basic premise was I wanted to show that you can play blues over changes and different kinds of songs and different kinds of music without it having to be traditional blues. Not that there's anything wrong with traditional blues. I still love that. But it's just I wanted to show how how blues can be adapted to a lot of different forms of music.
Yeah,
and that's basically what the album is. The underlying part of the album is to say that, and then the overlying thing is that it's my impressions of some places in New York City, Manhattan.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, blues. One thing is the roots blues. Traditional blues as you called it, and then there is blues as an influence, blues is everywhere. Blues is into Pink Floyd, Dire Straits.
Oh yeah.
And also your solo on, for example, "I Am Made of You" on the latest Alice Cooper album. It's definitely bluesy. You know, it's the influence.
It's all blues, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all blues. I mean, it's been a wonderful thing that all I've really had to do is try to find the blues. And if somebody wants me to come in and play a solo, I just look for the blues in it. And when I can find the blues, I can play a solo.
Yeah.
And I haven't had any trouble, really. That it just works so well because rock and roll and most of pop music is based on blues.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And what can you tell us about this? You know, you did this album through the fundraising thing. It's kind of a new concept. How does this work?
It was a wonderful experience. I wasn't sure what to expect, you know, because I had a friend of mine tell me that his son had gone on Kickstarter and had raised enough money to do a little tour of. I think he was going to do like 5 or 6 shows, and they just needed enough money to support that, and they went on Kickstarter and they got enough money to support themselves on a little tour. It was really wonderful. So I thought my wife Karen and I decided we'd put up a Kickstarter page to help support the album because, you know, it was coming out of my pocket basically, and you know, I didn't want to start running out of money. Yeah. And also, I thought it'd be really cool to invite the fans and the people out there who support music to support it now in a different way, where they actually become a part of it. I mean, the people that donated money are now part of the album. I mean, they're the ones who helped make the album exist. So it's just this really wonderful thing. It's a wonderful concept. I'm sure I'll do it again. It was very. I met some wonderful people. There's some great people, and it was just a great experience all the way around. I mean, I'm for sure going to do it again because I was so impressed with it. So much smoother than going through a label.
Yeah, definitely. You know, times are changing. I guess you know this better than me because you were there in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, and it's so different. No way. The executive production now can be supported by fans, and it's amazing.
Oh, I think it's wonderful. It's like now you feel even closer to your fans. You know, I mean, because now they're really supporting you. They're actually helping you make the album, and you know that's a wonderful thing. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, and what can you tell us about the amazing guests on your album? We've got, for example, everyone is involved in this, and we want also to remember our good friend Jason Baker. We did an interview with Jason Baker, an amazing guy, and
he is an amazing guy. He's my best friend.
Yeah. I mean, he's so everything. He's everything. It's incredible how he can do things. You also worked with people who work with you already, like Tony Levin, Joe Perry. Joseph Trent, and now Johnny Depp, Marty Friedman. What can you tell us about this amazing bunch of guests?
Well, I tell you, it was really an extraordinary thing because speaking to Jason Becker, I had gone to San Francisco for a benefit for Jason.
Yeah.
And the guy closing the show was Joe Satriani.
Oh.
So I'm there, and I'm just kind of hanging out. I had no plans on playing because he had all these shredder guys playing, and that's not what I do. So I figured, well, I'll just hang here and enjoy the shows. You know, they're all some awesome players on that. Steve Lukather's an old buddy of mine, and so it was just great to be there and hang with Jason. You know, I hadn't seen him in a while. And somebody comes up to me and said, Joe Satriani wants to talk to you, and so I said, oh, great, cool. You know, so I go up and he wants me to play.
Oh,
he asked me if I'd get up on stage with him on the last tune and jam with him, play Going Down, this blues tune Going Down. And I said, oh, man, I'd love to, sure. So I got up on stage with Joe at the Jason's benefit, and we just had an absolute ball. It was so much fun, and Joe is a very generous, kind guy, and we both had a great time. So later on, many months later, when I was writing Twilight in Harlem, I hadn't written the solos yet, and I was getting up to the point of writing the solos, and I said, wow, you know, it'd be great if I could get Joe Satriani and Steve Vai to play back-to-back solos on this track.
Yeah.
So I'm going to write what I think they would enjoy playing. The song is in kind of an odd time, since 7/8, but I know those guys love that sort of thing. So I wrote these solos, and I just asked Joe. I said, Joe, I know you're busy and everything. I emailed him and asked him. I said, I know you're busy, but if you could play a solo on this track, it would be awesome. So he said, well, send me the track. So I sent him the track, and I don't know, 2-3 days later, I got this incredible guitar solo.
Amazing.
Wow, this is amazing. So then I contacted Steve Vai. And the only reason I thought of Steve is because Steve and Joe have a long history together. They've known each other for a long, long, long time. And I just thought it'd be cool to have the both of them on the album. But Steve was too busy. When I emailed him, he was in Russia or something, and when he got home, he had so much work to do, he just didn't think he'd have time. So that was cool. I understood that. And I asked Jason, I said, Jason, who do you think would be really cool after Joe Satriani's solo? And he said, without even hesitation, Marty Friedman.
Yeah,
I said, yeah, of course. I hadn't even thought of him. And I said, well, and of course Jason helped me. He introduced us because I didn't really know Marty that well. So Jason sent him the track, and then Marty and I talked over email because Marty lives in Japan. And so he said yes, and so I said, okay, cool. So I sent him the track, and then again, about a week later, I got this amazing solo. And I was really very happy. Those guys both played exactly the coolest things on those solos.
Yeah, that's an awesome synchronicity. That's incredible.
Yeah, and, I like the contrast of those guys, the way they play, versus the way I play, which is real bluesy and kind of mellow and stuff. To come out of that really heavy shredding thing into the blue, it was awesome. It was just exactly what I wanted to happen. It was really cool. And the same thing sort of happened with everybody else. I asked Jason about 222 West 23rd. I wanted to have somebody guest on there, and I was thinking again. My whole premise was to try to get the younger players, the players that I don't play anything at all like these guys, nothing at all like them. And because I love the contrast between me and them. So Jason said, yeah, you ought to talk to Michael E. Firkins. And I said, well, okay, yeah, I saw him play at the benefit, and he was great. He's a great slide player. So I contacted him. We actually talked on the phone. He's a really cool guy, way into it. And then he put this amazing solo on. So the whole thing sort of came about like that. It got to the point where I said, well, God, I might just ask Paul McCartney if he played bass on something.
Yeah.
It just seemed like I could ask anybody, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
So, but it was all very cool. And the two cellos, by the way, I had recorded on one of their tracks. They did a version of Every Breath You Take, and I played guitar on that. And we really hit it off. I love those guys. Those guys are geniuses. And it was actually Karen that said, I said to Karen, I said, well, it'd be great to have two cellos on here, wouldn't it? And she said, well, let's ask them. And I thought, well, I don't know, they're just newly signed and they're on tour. And I was kind of being negative about it. And she went and asked Bob Ezrin, because Bob had produced that album, and gave him my email, and they were thrilled to play. It was awesome. I get back these beautiful cello tracks. So it was just one of those things where everything just fell into place. It was really, really a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
I'm almost sad. I was almost sad when the album was done. Cause,
you missed the work.
Yeah, I did. You missed the work of working on that thing. It was so much fun.
And are you planning some gig to support it?
Well, we were thinking about that, but the problem is there are two main problems. One of them is the money.
Band. The money.
It costs so. You know how that is. It costs so damn much money to go out and tour these days. It used to not. It used to didn't be that. It wasn't that much. It used to be tolerable, and you could kind of work it out. But now it's just gotten so expensive. And the other thing is too, I'm still working out my eye problems. I'm going to go see a doctor in a couple of weeks. And this lady's kind of cool. She has all these different techniques and things to help me. I just having trouble seeing the fretboard as well as I'd like to. It's not hampered my playing that much. It's just that it'd be nice if I could feel a little more confident when I got on stage that I can move my hand around and hit what I want to hit, you know.
Yeah.
It's just more of a nuisance than it is a real burden at this point, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it's really mainly the dough. The money is it's just too expensive. I wish I could do something, but for the moment, now if something happens, you know, like who knows, somebody comes along and dumps some money in my lap and tells me to go out and tour. I might do that, you know.
Who knows?
But yeah, you never know,
anything
right?
can happen. And,
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And Karen is singing on the album as well.
Oh yeah, well, you know, I took advantage of her voice. I mean, what she did for most of her life in England was in London and stuff was sing and do jingles, and she sang in jazz groups, and then she was a background singer for Gary Newman. So she, you know,
that's
she already had the abilities and the talents to sing background. So I wanted to use her on as many things as I could. I think we used her on 3 or 4 things, something like that.
Yeah, and how can fans find you on the internet?
The easiest way is stevehunter.com.
Okay, it's a website.
It's just all one. That's really the easiest. That'll take you to everything. If you want to buy the CD, it'll take you to CD Baby, and iTunes or whatever, you know, all that stuff. It's all the stevehunter.com website is probably the quickest way. There is a Manhattan Blues Project website, but you can also access that from stevehunter.com. So it's best just to go there, and that's like a hub, you know, kind of takes you to everywhere else.
And now, what's in store for the future plans?
Well, I tell you what, our future plans are kind of murky right now.
Hey.
Although I think Karen and I are going to do something together. Now, I don't know if it's going to be an EP or exactly what it's going to be yet, but we've been kicking around some ideas. Because, you know, I'd like for her to do another record. She did a record called, we did a record together called Empty Spaces that are, you know, very personal songs that she wrote, and I did it. We did it all here in my studio. So we're thinking about doing another EP type thing. You know, maybe just a downloads or something.
Yeah, okay.
Of
digital,
you know what I mean?
digital copy.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we're working on that, and we're getting the songs together. We're going to do some cover songs, and we'll probably write a couple things, you know, things like that. But I think it's nice. You know, she's got a good voice. We might as well make some use of it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's going to be her turn now.
So now we let the audience listen to a song taken off the Manhattan Blues Project. You chose this song. There are some amazing guests on this song, and the tune is entitled "The Brooklyn Shuffle." What can you tell us about this song?
Okay, well, it was one of the last songs I wrote, and I wanted to have a slightly more traditional blues song on the record, just to have fun, you know. Like I wanted one song. There's a couple songs that I think are kind of fun, but I wanted to have one song that just was like a fun, get in your car, cruise over the Brooklyn Bridge kind of a song. So and then as I started working on it, I thought, wow, this is when I thought how cool it'd be to get Johnny Depp and Joe Perry to play solos on it. So as I was writing it, I wrote a space for 2 guitar solos. I have a small guitar solo right before it, but I wanted to give these guys the full 12 bars to just have fun and do whatever they wanted. And that's basically how that song came about. And that's pretty much what I told Johnny and Joe to do. I said, look, man, plug your guitar in, get a sound you like, and just play whatever you feel like playing. I want you to have fun with it. Don't overthink it. Don't, you know, just have fun. And I think that's what they did, and that's what I wanted. I wanted that kind of energy on that song. That song was supposed to be just a fun song. And I think it comes across like that we all had fun playing that song.